So yeah, I was an actor, but I grew up in the construction business. The guy in the white shirt there, that's my dad. He's a superintendent. Got to stay away from that speaker too, I guess. He's a superintendent. That's the Plaza Tower in New Orleans, Louisiana, about 1964. And my dad is a testament to everything that I do, and with emotional intelligence and soft skills for technical people. He dropped out in 6th grade and joined the Merchant Marines and came back and was a carpenter and worked his way up through management and construction because he was so great with people, right? And I love the construction industry, but I think we've lost that. I think we've lost a lot of that people dimension, that human connection. So my mission statement is to make the industry more collaborative, more inclusive, more fun, more driven by relationships. And quite frankly, we don't have the skills to do that, a lot of us. Some of us do. So that's what I teach. And I was an actor for full-time, for a couple of years. I quit engineering and became a full-time actor. And I did a lot of theater and did some low-budget, really horrible movies. And really horrible movies. I can't tell you how horrible these movies were. And I did a lot of improv and did some stand-up comedy. I had a small role on In the Heat of the Night. Do you remember the show In the Heat of the Night? I played a redneck auto mechanic drug dealer on In the Heat of the Night. I did. I'm from Mobile, Alabama originally, so the redneck part was just sort of natural to me. So I think, and here's the thing. I believe that this lack of emotional intelligence, this lack of people skills and connection, this lack of getting with people is part of what's driving this whole problem with attracting and retaining people. People are staying away in droves, especially minority and women are staying away in droves. Look at the room. I had an exercise that we were going to do, which is this exercise, we're not doing it. You know why? I had a demographic of under 35 years old and over 35 years old. And I thought it would be sort of an equal split. I don't think that's happening in this room today. And I'm not trying to call you guys old or anything. I'm really not. I'm saying that that's a problem. That demographic is a problem. There's not a lot of people of color here. There's not a lot of younger people here. There's not a lot of women here. And that's a problem. I think a big part of that is because of the way we are as an industry, because we're not as inclusive and we don't embrace people who think differently than we are, who look differently than we look. And you can see it in every conference you go to. The demographic is a lot like this. In fact, there's more women here than most conferences I go to. So that's an issue that we have to address head on. Now, we also need to do all these things we're doing with STEM and getting young people interested. That's awesome stuff. But that's like 15, 20 years down the road, that workforce, right? We got to do something now. So we have to change the way we approach things and change the way we look at people coming into the industry and embrace the differences, right? All right. Because you saw when Holly asked, everybody's looking for people. And it's not going to get any better. And work's increasing. It's going to get a lot worse, right? So let's look at some of these mistakes. I've got to really avoid that speaker, so I'm going to come up here. So the first mistake that most companies make is they think it's about money. It's not about money. When people leave you, they'll tell you it's about money, but it wasn't about money. Money is irrelevant when it comes to the things that really drive people. Now you can pay, as long as you pay competitive wages, maybe slightly above competitive wages, money's not the issue. And I'll tell you about a case study that Daniel Pink talked about that really speaks to that, okay? The other thing is, we don't give people an ability to manage themselves. We micromanage. We don't allow them to set their own work schedules and other things. That's an issue. So that's that slide. Then they don't know what our purpose is. And for younger people especially, purpose is really important. I don't know if you've noticed that. Purpose is really important to them. And you can't say, well, our purpose is to make money. It doesn't work. It doesn't fly. Not with people that you're trying to hire. And the last one is mastery. Are you giving them the resources to create some kind of mastery of themselves? To be good at something, to be stellar at something, to be a master of personal mastery and getting really good at something. All right? So it's not about the money. Pink talks about in the book Drive about this, they had this study they did with artists, and they gave them commissioned works that they were paid for, and then they asked them just to paint whatever they wanted to paint, right? Then they had art people judge the paintings for how good the painting was, what was the artistic integrity of the painting. Guess what? You know the answer, right? The ones they painted themselves were judged far superior to the ones that they were paid to do. So the study, there's tons of studies that back this up, tons of studies. So unless you're doing rote work, like factory line work, or you're putting a widget into something, money is irrelevant. If you're putting a widget down on something, 50 cents an hour, you're going to just go to the other company. But if you're doing anything creative, anything that requires a lot of critical thinking, money is irrelevant. Money is irrelevant. In fact, if you're about the money, money becomes an expectation. And people just start expecting it. And that becomes a real big problem, right? So don't think money's going to solve this for you guys. Yes, salaries are going up. Yes, there is some competition there. But if you pay attention to these other things I'm going to talk about, you're not going to have to worry about money. So those are the three things Pink says that drive people. There's extrinsic motivation, which is like pay and bonuses and things like that. Then there's intrinsic motivation. This gets to more intrinsic motivation, internal motivation, autonomy, doing things the way you want to do them, purpose, a sense of purpose, and then mastering something. Those are the three things. And I think I agree with Pink. I think he puts up some really good backup studies and some good points. So I recommend the book. So here's what I want you to do. Get some people around you, maybe 2 or 3 people, just get in some small groups and talk about how do you or how would you or how will you try to create an atmosphere of autonomy, of people like doing their own stuff in the way they need to do it at your place. Maybe you've got some good ideas, or maybe you can brainstorm and come up with some good ideas. Everybody just get in small groups and do that right now. Go! You know what LinkedIn does when they interview people? They say, tell us what you're going to do when you leave LinkedIn. Right? So we're all like covetous of these people, and we have to keep them, and we can't lose them. And it's like, you're going to lose them. Why not set that expectation right up front? Okay, when you leave us, what are you going to start your own business? What do you want to do? Boy, talk about creating trust and creating a connection. And guess what LinkedIn does when people leave? They come back, right? Because that's the kind of environment they've created. They say, we want what's best for you. And if you need to leave to get what's best for you, we're right behind you. How can we support you? And those people always come back. Because there's a lot of companies that don't do that. Right? Okay. Any others? Any other compelling ideas? Yeah. Emphasize the value and what they bring, and not what a certain set of criteria that they have to be or stay or do, or So we talk about flexibility, being more flexible. Not our best thing. Not our best thing in the industry. I work with a lot of people with really control issues. Cultivate a yes and mentality. Do you guys know yes and from improv? Yes and.
Never say no.
Never say no. Yes and. Right? Does your company have a yes but mentality? Hey, could I work from home one day? Yeah, but we tried that in 1985 and it didn't work well, and we're really concerned about it. And there's that one guy, we know he doesn't work when he's not here, so we'll just say no to that, right? So yes and. Yeah, sure. How can we make that work? What do you propose? How do we monitor? And the micromanaging, really, boy, the young people hate that. And what do the baby boomers say? You got to pay your dues. I did it. Go sort those drawings. Go do that crap work for a couple of years, because that's the way I did it. they are going to be so gone within a very short period of time, right? And then results-oriented work environment, just what one of these gentlemen said. Yeah, just give them the destination. Get to it any way you want. If you can get that done in a half an hour, good. Go bowling. I don't care. I got to get that done by that time in that manner. When it's done, let's talk about something else. And we don't have that much in this industry either, right? All right, so those are some autonomy ideas, great ideas from you guys. So let's look at purpose. So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't come to work for your company because of what you do, but people come to work for your company and stay there because of why you do it. Think about that. That goes beyond just the purpose of making money and staying in business and paying people. So what's your purpose? What's your why? Get another in the groups or partner. Tell each other the why of your company. And if you don't know what that is, probably should find out. Or maybe create it or do whatever. And if you do know what it is, articulate that. That's the next question. If you know what it is it articulated to your employees? Is it articulated to your clients? Is it articulated to all the stakeholders on projects? Is it articulated to people you're trying to recruit? And if it's not, think about that. So take 2 or 3 minutes and see if you can come up with your why and articulate it and state it and share it. So who has a compelling why? Who has a compelling purpose? Raise your hand and tell us what your why is for your company. Anybody? Yes.
Our purpose is to give our customers the absolute best experience they can have, so they're going to tell the next customer, don't let anybody do this.
Awesome. Others? Yes.
Just because I don't technically have a business yet, but my purpose as a person is to create something out of nothing. And so with construction management, I can physically do that, but just walking into a room, I can also spin something and help someone. And at the end of the day, it's great.
You will have your own business. Let's just put it that way. Yes, she will. I promise you. Others? This is really cool. Yes, sir. Okay, help our customers build things. That's a great purpose. Others?
We want to develop our employees to be the best that they can be and deliver that knowledge and that skill.
Okay, so more employee focused. Going to make the employees the best they can be and they'll deliver. That'll just take care of itself. Good. Others? Okay, they were taking an old Home Depot near my house and turning it into a store called The Dump, a big furniture store. And there were these guys out there working on it, and I didn't know what it was at the time. And I said, hey, what is this going to be? And the guy said, I don't know. I ain't got any idea. I thought, wow, what a great level of engagement there. I don't even know what they're building. Like, that just shocked me for some reason. Because, every building has a purpose. Every project has a purpose, right? And it's tapping into that higher sense of purpose for individual projects, for your company. I mean, think about it. We build stuff that creates really cool things like education and entertainment and hospitals that heal people and cancer treatment centers. I was working with McCarthy out on the West Coast. They were doing a cancer treatment center. And for their kickoff meeting, they brought in a bunch of oncologists and doctors. And they told them that you are about to build something that will save your life or a loved one's life in the future. Wow. That's a sense of purpose. Some guy raised his hand and said, yeah, but what if you're building a wastewater treatment plant? Sense of purpose. I don't know if you know, plumbers take great pride in that they've saved civilization because without plumbing, and without treating waste, we could have a lot of disease and cholera outbreaks and all this other horrible stuff.
They say it's maintaining the health of the country.
That's right, maintaining the health of the country. That's right. That's the purpose, right? And your purpose may be to your employees of providing for their families and providing a good life and But if you don't know what that purpose is and you haven't articulated that purpose in very clear terms to your employees and to your potential employees, you're really missing out on a big motivator for people. Purpose is powerful. Okay? And, you know, I mean, I work with a lot of companies, and I've had, well, your motivation is your paycheck. You know, I pay you every week. That's why you should do what yeah. Those people aren't going to be around. Those companies won't be around. They just won't. People will not tolerate that. They won't work for companies like that. So it's about tapping into that higher purpose. Okay. So we've got autonomy, letting people, you know, do things the way they want to do them. You know, you've got to have some guidelines and rules and follow-ups and all that, but really giving them a lot of leeway on when and how and where they work. And the next thing is you've got to really instill this sense of purpose. What is their purpose? And if they don't know that, that's really important to younger people. They want to know that they're making a difference. They want to know that they're creating changes, that they're making a difference in this world. And as builders and designers, we do make a huge difference in this world. But we sort of get in that mindset of, well, that's just what we do, and we don't think it's miraculous. But, you know, when I was a kid and running around on the Plaza Tower, because this was before OSHA, and we got up there, we went up the buck hoist, and we're running around the floors, that was miraculous to me. It was better than Disney World. It was a miracle to see these guys take these pieces of paper and build something that was 60 stories high. Miraculous. That's a miracle. And we've lost that sense of purpose and that sense of it being so miraculous because it's what we do every day. But boy, to the outsider, that is a miracle. So tap into that part of this business that I think we've lost. It is miraculous. It is amazing. And that's what we need to be articulating to the younger people coming into this industry is, hey, this can be really fun. And it's amazing and it's miraculous and you're changing the world. That's the message I want to send. That's the purpose that I think we all have, but we've just lost a sense of it, right? That's where I want to go. And that's part of my mission statement. I want to help transform the industry to make it more collaborative and more fun and more relationship driven and more of what it used to be. Right? All right. Then mastery is the last one Pink talks about, gaining some kind of mastery of something, of yourself, and training is vital. And I called a guy this morning. We're doing this academy. It's a 10-month training program, leadership program in AGC, Georgia. He says, we can't send anybody, we're too busy. I said, well, you know, we cover things like time management and stress management and personal mastery and learning how to navigate all that stuff. We cover that. It would be sort of like the Colts maybe saying, hey, we've got a budget crunch, so we're just going to fire the whole coaching staff and training staff, and we're just going to show up on Sundays and play. And that sounds pretty ridiculous, right? But yet companies do that every day. Budget crunch, too busy, we're going to cut all the training because, that's overhead. This is vital. And if you don't have those budget numbers, you don't have those budget numbers for your training, I would take a look at your budget again. Because FMI did a report, this is the #1 recruiting and retention tool that you can have, is giving people the resources to train and to be better and to get better at what they do, to advance their careers, to advance their, just their personal satisfaction. This is vital. So, let's just do a little check-in. Get in your same groups. How do you do your training? And what do you spend on training? And do you give people resources to develop personal mastery? I'm curious because I want to see some of the things that you guys are doing and how do you do that with limited resources, with limited time? How do you do that? How do you fulfill this requirement for motivation? Go. Take about 3 minutes. So the reason I like to do this way is all of us are much smarter than any one of us. And this is a way to get some really good ideas. And I could come up here and tell you everything that I know about this, but it's minuscule. This is where we're getting some cool ideas. So any ideas on how you do training and what kind of stuff you have in place? And do you articulate that to potential recruits? Say, hey, we have this fantastic leadership training. You're going to really skyrocket your career. How do you do it? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Everyone in our firm has the ability to go through training at administrative level, and when the new professionals come in, depending upon what type of services that we provide in our firm, it is known unto them that they can be a part of this training courses. It may change throughout their career. They may start out getting training in a certain particular professional area, and then find out, I'd rather be on cost side, so let's get some training in cost. So
Right.
each year, we sit down with those individuals and go through what they did this past year, they learn from it, and then sit down and place their budgets for the upcoming year, and when they get the training, and then we help set their schedules for that training throughout the year.
Nicely done. Yes.
I think it's pretty organic, if it's gonna work, it has to be organic, so the training or professional acumen is part of our values. So we see that in the performance reviews, and so there's discussions always going on. Annually, we put together our training plan from everyone from the front desk to the CEO. What do we need this year? We break it into technical and cultural. And then what we try to do then is also let the trainer start to train. Because once you learn it, if you teach somebody else, then you'll be better. So we'll use the young people to reverse mentoring. So some of the younger kids were actually, running some of the social media training to help some less prolific social media people on the other end of the spectrum. So, and that worked really well.
Very nice. Others? I'm giving the introverts time to process. Yes.
We actually have a formal future leaders training in-house that each year, probably 25, this is more on the field level, but 25 to 30 of our future leaders, they have been nominated. This class can be anywhere from a secretary apprentice to a 15-year journeyman who people working for think that they have leadership
Right.
qualities. And the classes, about half of them are taught by outside, attorney or, HR specialist. The other half are taught by managers within the company.
Nice.
Formal graduation ceremony at the end.
Cool. I love that it's an honor to be there. You have to be nominated. And, I'm sure the guy that I talked to this morning is going to go, okay, we got this academy thing. I know you're really busy, but do you want to go? I think it's going to go something like that. Instead of, we see you as a really high potential guy and you as a potential owner of this company one day, partial owner. We'd love to have you go do this because we think it'll really help you. Of course, I can't be there to watch that interaction, unfortunately, but I have a feeling that's what it's going to be. All right, anything else? Any others? Okay, this is really important, guys, and I'm not saying that because I do this. I'm saying it because it's just true. And if you don't have a good training program in place to get people that mastery that they desire, especially these younger people, they will not stay. They won't. They will go other places. All right, so we've got money is not the answer. It can be a good short-term kind of a thing, but money in long-term is not the answer. We've got autonomy, getting people getting off their backs and getting them to sort of have input into how they work. We've got purpose. They have to have a sense of purpose. Your company has to have a sense of purpose. Projects have a sense of purpose. And then we have to have the mastery and the training. And I'm going to give you one bonus. There's one bonus thing other than those 4 items that we tend to make mistakes on. And that's, do you make your people's lives better? And that's a good question. And some employers I talk with, they don't buy into this at all. They go, not my business, I don't care. That's ridiculous. I've heard all kinds of comments on this. But I guarantee you, if you make somebody's life better, they're going to think twice about leaving you for another $10,000 a year or whatever. They're going to think about it. And how do you make their lives better? Does anybody, let's just open this up to the floor. Does anybody have anything that they have at their companies or what they do that actually they think makes people's lives better?
We offer freedom to, like, a high school and youth soccer official. So it's kind of like become a challenge. We'll get it going.
Yeah, cool.
There's 3 or 4 of us that are official with youth sports in the company. And like, go get it.
So that's a value, and they can take off and do those kinds of things. You know, this is the only industry where somebody can work 80 hours a week for 6 months and take Friday afternoon off for his kid's piano recital, and everybody gives him crap about it. Have you noticed that? Oh, whoo, banker's hour. Ooh, I wish I could keep those kind of hours. Have you seen that? That just slays me. That just kills me. But we do that, don't we? Boy, that is an ingrained piece of this culture I want to get rid of, right? Instead of, wow, what a great dad you are. What a great mom you are to be able to do that. That's awesome. I congratulate you for that. No, we have to give them crap about it. So that's making their life better, right? That's making their lives something that another company is not going to value. And it may be as simple as creating sort of a family atmosphere. Because, you know, you're with your work people probably more than your family people a lot of times. And to make that a really enjoyable, pleasurable, wonderful experience and play together and have fun together, that's making people's lives better. That's valuing what they value. If they need to take off to take care of a family situation, if they need just some time off, a mental day, because they're just overwhelmed, and you support them in that and allow them to do that, that's making their life better. And don't underestimate that in terms of retention. And that kind of stuff gets out to other people, and they're going to be more likely to bring people, you know, that they know into your company if you've created that atmosphere. And if you haven't, then maybe you got some work to do. Okay? Anybody else have any ideas about making their life better? That's a great point. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I'll give you an example. When I was project manager, we had this fire, and it destroyed a lot of the mechanical ductwork. The ductwork guy came in and just replaced everything and did a stellar job. I wrote him a thank you note. Hey, John, thanks so much. You stepped up. You were awesome. Love you. Gave it to him. The next day, his wife came to the project and had that in her hand, and she came up to me and she goes, "Did you write this?" And I was going, yeah. I was getting ready to run. She said, "My husband's been in this business 30 years. No one has ever thanked him, much less written a note to thank him." She said, "We have it on our refrigerator next to the kids' drawings."
You just won.
Wow. I mean, and you know, I just did it because I thought he deserved it, and it was such a stupid, small thing. But for that project, if I asked him to do anything, what do you think was the response? Sure. Yeah, I'll drop everything right now. Go do that. And I didn't really foresee that being the case, but that was a nice byproduct of that. And think about that in the context of your people, something as simple as that. And nobody gets handwritten notes anymore, do they? Don't do it in an email. Do it in a nice note, maybe with a gift card or something in it, right? All right. Any other making people's lives better? Anybody have any stories or ways that they do that? Okay. All right. So you may be part of a company that don't value these things. So I invite you to be subversive and start small. and do some things and don't ask anybody about it. Just go do them. And then when you get good results, then you can tell everybody, hey, look what I did, right? So start small, be subversive. Don't punish the 85% who are going to do great with this kind of stuff for the 15% who won't. Be strategically subversive and start doing some of these things and see where it leads. You never know. You never know. All right, so here's what I want us to do. We've got about 3 minutes left, and I'll just open it up for any questions. And then I've got just a real quick 1-minute exercise right at the end if anybody doesn't have any questions. No questions. Yes?
You seem to indicate a couple times through your presentation that things have changed over the years. You're trying to get them back where they were a little bit. What change do you see? I mean, how is the culture different? Did they have more family as initially when you started?
Well, I think I get a more, and it depends on companies and it depends on even regions and sectors, and I get that. But for me, there's less of a human connection and less of things driven by relationship. And it tends to be adversarial in a lot of the projects I'm involved with. They call me in because they become adversarial. And I think it's always been a real contentious kind of way of working because it's just a lot of stress. But I think we had those connections with other human beings and relationships, and we were able to resolve them, and now everything just seems to end up in court, the ones that get contentious. And it's sad for me. One more quick question.
With emotional intelligence, you talk about where the other dynamics you see where that's missed.
Well, we're moving into this collaborative project delivery with IPD and ILPD and Lean and BIM. They're all collaborative stuff, and they're great processes, but if you don't have the underlying emotional competence of things like empathy and self-awareness, it's all for nothing. So we have to have both. It's a different set of skills that's required, and we don't have those. Most of us don't have those skills. Just empirically, that's true, because I work with hundreds and thousands of people, and they don't. Their typical profile is frighteningly consistent. High assertiveness, high independence, high self-regard, low empathy, low relationship skills, low self-awareness. It's who we are. But we can shift that and change that.